Hello there, great person, and welcome back to Let's Dive into the SCP universe. Today we are going to deal with SCP-106 called, I think, the Old Man. And as always, we will start with TheVolgun, listen to what TheVolgun is going to tell us about this one. Then I will probably listen to the Exploring series and see if there's new stuff. And if there is new stuff, I will edit it in. And after that, we will read the article. And after that, perhaps I will also do some additional stuff that I will decide later. But we will see. We will see. So let's just get into it, have some fun, and first react to TheVolgun and what he is telling us about SCP-106. And as always, consider liking, subscribing to them. I will link all of their videos that I'm reacting to in the description of this video. And if you like my content, of course, subscribe as well and like the video, it helps a bit. So without further ado, let's just go and see what this SCP is all about. Okay, here we go. The Old Man, Kita, corrosive and extra-dimensional SCP. Let's see what it does. What does it do? The Old Man. It's an old man. That's pretty scary. Nah, I don't know. Let's see. Oh,
Good
God.
afternoon, everyone.
Oh, God. It starts off well. So this apparently is an old man. To be fair, this is like already creepy stuff. I like it. Design, yeah, cool. Big mouth, always great. Showing teeth. We are programmed to hate that because it's like telling us it will eat you. Very, very basic psychology and neurology. So this tells me, will eat me, the eyes as well, staring at me, glowing, warning sign. So this is a dope design, I like it. So.
My name is Dr. Miller, and
Hello.
the SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-106. Object Class, Keter.
Keter.
Special Containment Procedures. Revision 11-6.
Oh no.
No physical interaction with SCP-106 is allowed at any time.
Why?
All physical interaction must be approved by no less than a 2/3 vote from O5 Command and may only extend to testing situations. All
Why?
staff, research, security, Class D, etc. are to remain at least 20 meters away from the containment cell at all times, except for mandated maintenance and reevaluation checks. Containment cell must be held suspended in a secondary cell,
Okay.
the walls of which must be at least 30 meters distant from the outer walls of the first or primary cell.
That is okay. So it starts a lot worse than the first one we had, like the Yule Man. Now we've got the Old Man. So you seem to like men that are creepy here in these SCPs. At least you recommend them all the time. Don't know what that's about. I find men pretty creepy as well. Like everything that's the man, it's like I hate that. Hate monsters like that. So I feel you there. So the last one wasn't even caught. I don't know if it's worse than this one then, but yeah. So this one is caught apparently, is in a cell, and yeah, you're not supposed to go to it. And the fact that they have 2 cells already, yeah, let's hope it's not that bad.
The secondary cell is to remain under total observation at all times and be both illuminated and clear of any and all debris. Any items, movement, or non-normal activity noted within the secondary cell will result in a full site lockdown.
Ooh, I like it.
Lockdown will be maintained until a situation normal dispatch is issued by Site Command. Any corrosion observed on the primary cell, secondary cell, staff members, or other site locations within 200 meters of SCP-106 are to be reported to site security immediately.
Okay.
Any objects or personnel lost to SCP-106 are to be deemed missing or killed in action.
Oh no,
recovery
what?
attempts are to be made under any circumstances. Note, SCP-106 does not have a docile state.
Okay.
Any reduction in activity or increased compliance from SCP-106 is to be deemed a luring tactic immediately preceding an aggressive action, and treated as such.
Wow, that's so cool. So I like the way they built this up. So it's pretty fucking dangerous already. Like if people get too close, apparently like this picture here makes me think it is just like that it can like put forth the corrosive wall of death, and it kills you with that apparently. And yeah, I wonder why it has to be illuminated to see the corrosion, perhaps. But yeah, might be Acid Man. So let's see if it's Acid Man.
Note: SCP discontinued due to escape percentage.
What?
Revision 11-7. No physical interaction with SCP-106 is allowed at any time. All physical interaction must be approved by no less than a 2/3 vote from O5 Command and may only extend to testing situations.
What happened?
All staff, research, security, Class D, etc. are to remain at least 30 meters away from the containment cell at all times, except under direct order from Site Command. SCP-106 is to be kept within a sealed container comprised of 16 layers of lead-lined steel, each separated by no less than 18 centimeters of open space, aside from minimal support struts.
Oh, I love it. Oh, it's so cool. Yeah, it broke out. And now they had to add more measures. That's cool.
Said container is to be kept suspended by a continuous current system within a fluid medium. This medium is to be replaced in 48-hour cycles and constantly monitored for any corrosion intrusion. Any corrosion observed on any containment cell surfaces, staff members, or other site locations within 200 meters of SCP-106 are to be reported to site security immediately. Any objects or personnel lost to SCP-106 are to be deemed missing or killed in action. No recovery attempts are to be made under any circumstances. SCP-106 does not have a docile state.
I guess
Any
so.
reduction in activity or increased compliance from SCP-106 is to be deemed a luring tactic immediately preceding an aggressive action, and treated as such. Note: observation of SCP-106 has shown slight resistance when passing through lead or other similar metals.
Okay, so that's why they put more metals in, because it apparently escaped.
The thickness of the material appears to make no difference. In addition, multiple layers of thin material appear to slow SCP-106, forcing it to enter and re-emerge multiple times.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Fluids also appear to temporarily confuse SCP-106. Note: SCP discontinued due to multiple surface breaches.
Oh,
Agitation system continued to disperse corrosion during breach event, resulting in multiple breaches and full containment failure.
Oh no.
Revision 11-8. No
Okay, so I like it a lot. I really uses the SCP myth that they have a facility and they've got this ding dong inside. I like that. Though currently it's just, yeah, it can get out. Okay, yeah, it can get out. So what? What's it gonna do? I mean, it looks evil AF, so what does it want?
physical interaction with SCP-106 is allowed at any time. All physical interaction must be approved by no less than a 2/3 vote from O5 Command. Any such interaction must be undertaken in AR2 maximum security sites after a general non-essential staff evacuation.
Okay.
All staff, research, security, Class D, etc. are to remain at least 60 meters away from the containment cell at all times, except in the event of breach events.
Why?
SCP-106 is to be contained in a sealed container, comprised of lead-lined steel. The container will be sealed within 40 layers of identical material, each layer separated by no less than 36 centimeters of empty space.
So they tried to make it so it can't emerge there. I guess it has to restructure after corroding through a surface.
Support struts between layers are to be randomly spaced. Container is to remain suspended no less than 60 centimeters from any surface by ELO-IID electromagnetic supports. Secondary containment area is to be comprised of 16 spherical cells, each filled with various fluids and a random assembly of surfaces and supports. Secondary containment is to be fitted with light systems, capable of flooding the entire assembly with no less than 80,000 lumens of light instantly, with no direct human involvement.
So do they have the light because that makes things less corrosive? Is that something? Did I miss something in chemistry class? I mean, I'm a physicist, perhaps, but...
Both containment areas are to remain under 24-hour surveillance. Any corrosion observed on any containment cell surfaces, Staff members or other site locations within 200 meters of SCP-106 are to be reported to site security immediately.
Oh
Any
God, I
objects
love
or
the
personnel
design.
lost to SCP-106 are to be deemed missing or killed in action. No recovery attempts are to be made under any circumstances. Note: continued research and observation have shown that when faced with highly complex or random assemblies of structures, SCP-106 can be confused, showing a marked delay on entry and exit from said structure.
Okay, so it's hard to contain, almost impossible. Now the important thing is gonna be what does it do? Like, yeah, it corrodes stuff fine, but what is the scary thing about it? Other than it corrodes stuff. Like, that's pretty scary, but like, why would I be scared about that? Like, let's hope it does some bad stuff later down the line. Oh God, I hope I didn't wish for too much. I don't want to get Yule-manned again.
SCP-106 has also shown an aversion to direct, sudden light. This is not manifested in any form of physical damage, but a rapid exit into the pocket dimension generated on solid surfaces.
Ah, I see.
These observations, along with those of lead aversion and liquid confusion, have reduced the general escape incidence by 43%.
It's not
the
down to
primary
zero.
cells have also been effective in recovery incidents requiring recall protocol. Observation is ongoing.
Okay.
Description: SCP-106 appears to be an elderly humanoid with a general appearance of advanced decomposition.
Oh.
This appearance may vary, but the rotting quality is observed in all forms.
Okay.
SCP-106 is not exceptionally agile and will remain motionless for days at a time, waiting for prey.
Okay, so it's hunting? Why does it need to eat? Will it die if it eats? Is it just eating for the lulz?
SCP-106 is also capable of scaling any vertical surface and can remain suspended upside down indefinitely. When attacking, SCP-106 will attempt to incapacitate prey by damaging major organs, muscle groups, or tendons, then pull disabled prey into its pocket dimension.
Okay.
SCP-106 appears to prefer human prey items in the 10 to 25 years of age bracket.
Oh God, it's going for children again. Why? Does it need young material? Because it's an old man that wants to be young again.
SCP-106 causes a corrosion effect in all solid matter it touches, engaging a physical breakdown in materials several seconds after contact. This is observed as rusting, rotting, and cracking of materials, and the creation of a black mucus-like substance, similar to the material coating SCP-106.
Oh.
This effect is particularly detrimental to living tissues, and is assumed to be a pre-digestion action. Corrosion continues for 6 hours after contact, after which the effect appears to burn out.
Okay.
SCP-106 is capable of passing through solid matter, leaving behind a large patch of its corrosive mucus. SCP-106 is able to vanish inside solid matter, entering what is assumed to be a form of pocket dimension.
How do they know that, and how did they test that? I need to know how they tested that, because otherwise it's just turning into liquid and back. Like, why would it be a pocket dimension? Why wouldn't it be just like liquid that oozes everywhere and it can restructure itself from that? Like, that would be terrifying enough already. So I would love that as well. But like, where does the pocket dimension come in? I'm a bit confused about that.
SCP-106 is then able to exit this dimension from any point connected to the initial entry point. Examples: entering the inner wall of a room and exiting the outer wall, entering a wall and exiting from the ceiling. It is unknown if this is the point of origin for SCP-106 or a simple layer created by SCP-106.
Okay.
Limited observation of this pocket dimension has shown it to be comprised mostly of halls and rooms, with entry. This
I see. Okay. So they sent some poor ding-dong in. Very cool.
activity can continue for days, with some subjected individuals being released for the express purpose of hunting, recapture, and Addendum. SCP Review Notes. Due to the exceedingly difficult to contain nature of SCP-106, SCP is to be reviewed every 3 months or during a post-breach incident. Physical restraints are impossible. and direct physical damage appears to have no effect on SCP-106. Current SCP as a revolves around basic observation and immediate response.
Okay.
Previous, more proactive special containment procedures have been recalled due to the events of breach. And
Yeah, I love how he does that.
SCP-106 appears to go through long periods of dormancy, in which it will remain completely motionless for up to 3 months.
And then it
The cause for
happens.
this is unknown. However, it has been shown that this appears to be used as a lulling tactic.
Or it's digesting. Perhaps it ate then, and then it doesn't need to move anymore.
SCP-106 will emerge from this state in a very agitated state, and will attack and abduct staff and cause gross damage to its containment cell and the site at large.
Oh no.
Recall Protocol. SCP-106 appears to hunt and attack based on desire, not hunger.
Okay, it's doing it for
SCP-106
the
will
lulz.
attack and collect multiple prey items during a hunting behavior event, keeping many alive in the pocket dimension for extended periods of time.
Oh, great.
SCP-106 has no determinable limit and appears to collect a random number of prey items during an event. The inner dimension accessed by SCP-106 appears to be only accessible by SCP-106.
What? How?
Recording and transmission devices have been shown to still operate inside this dimension, though recordings and transmissions are very degraded.
Okay, I didn't get that part. Like, if only this ding dong can go in, how can other things go in? Like, or do they mean only this thing can open the dimension?
It appears that SCP-106 will play with captured prey, and appears to have full control of time, space, and perception inside this dimension.
Great.
SCP-106 appears. Recall Protocol. In the event of a breach event by SCP-106, a human within the 10 to 25 years of age bracket will be prepped for recall, with the compromised containment cell being replaced and restored for use. When the cell is ready, the lure subject will be injured, preferably via the breakage of a long bone, such as the femur, or the severing of a major tendon,
Great.
such as the Achilles tendon.
Oh my
Lure
god,
subject
guys.
will then be placed in the prepped cell, and the sound emitted by said subject will be transmitted over the site public address system. SCP-106 will typically begin to gravitate toward the lure subject within 10 to 15 minutes after hearing the subject. Should SCP-106 not respond to the initial broadcast, additional physical trauma is to be administered to the lure subject at 20-minute intervals until SCP-106 responds.
It's important that you do it every 20 minutes, not every 15, not every 21 or 19, exactly every 20 minutes. That's what it wants.
Multiple lure
training you.
subjects may be used in the case of major containment breach events. SCP-106 will typically enter a dormant state after finishing with a lure subject.
Why does it go for them? Wouldn't that be like, oh, you already did my work? Like, I think it said that it does it for the lure, so why would it go for people who are already hurt? Why wouldn't it do the hurting itself? Like, I don't know. Perhaps like I don't know. It will have its reasons.
In addition, subjects may... This concludes today's lecture. Thank
Okay.
you for listening, if indeed you still are, and you're all dismissed. Goodbye.
Okay. Dr. Gears. Cool. Cool. So, that was my first encounter with the old man. Why is it called the old man? Why isn't it called corrosive man? I like the dimensional idea. At first I thought, why would they think that? I'm not sure how it works, because it said only the man can enter the dimension, but then they were like talking about stuff inside, and like, how do they know? Are victims coming out again? Seems that they're not. I don't understand that, but we will see later. I like it. It's cool. It's a cool idea. It's a very cool idea. It's a bit, sometimes less is more, and this is less, and I like it, because like if we compare, I can only compare it to the Yule Man. Yule Man was too much, too overdone. This one is better. I feel. This one is really, really cool. So, yeah. So now we are gonna go to the exploring series and look at their take on this weird the old man thing. And after that, we will read the article and also watch The Young Man, which is apparently an animated short. And after that, we'll see where we go. I've got an idea. I will see if I do it. But yeah. Anyway, we will now go to the exploring series and see if they have additional information. Oh, yeah. By the way, I will now turn on subtitles. I forgot to do that. Okay. So now subtitles are turned on. I hope you will have a better experience now. So let's see what they tell me, and I will skip to I will edit out the parts where we get to know something I already know. But let's just go.
SCP-106, The Old Man.
Yeah.
Horror is a lot of things to a lot of people. For some, it's a parking lot at night, or a dark forest, or walking into a spider web.
Okay, so my question for you on this occasion, what is your horror thing? Like, what is the worst thing? Like, what is what you fear? Is it an unreal ghost thing? Like, I hate unreal ghost things. Or is it a clown, as he is gonna say? Like, what is it? What are you afraid of?
For others, it's clowns, or heights, or public speaking.
Yeah.
For many, though, horror is simply something utterly horrific. Which brings us to SCP-106. 106 is another classic SCP whose continued popularity has put it...
I know this one. I know this picture. I've seen this when I looked at SCPs way back when they started to become a thing. I've seen this picture. I didn't know it was the man, though.
At the forefront of the SCP universe. Much like SCP-096, SCP-173, SCP-076,
I don't know what
others,
those are.
106 is another inhuman monster with no regard for human life that can't seem to be killed.
Great.
Unlike many of those dangerous SCPs, however, 106 seems to take a certain amount of pleasure in torturing humans.
Yeah.
Let's look at exactly how 106 is considered horrific, and a couple tales that might explain where it came from.
Oh god.
SCP-106 is a humanoid resembling...
That is such a dope image. This is horrifying. I also like the weird jacket. I saw it before. This weird jacket thing, I love it.
An elderly male undergoing advanced decomposition. It can scale any vertical surface and hang there indefinitely while waiting for prey.
It's a bat.
It is not exceptionally agile, so it relies more on ambush tactics, capable of staying motionless for days if necessary. One of 106's main anomalous properties is its ability to corrode all solid matter it touches, from plant matter to metal, and especially to living tissue.
Yeah. Man.
This effect will continue for 6 hours after 106 removes its touch. This corrosion appears as rusting, rotting, and cracking, and also causes a black, mucus-like substance to coat the object, similar to the substance covering 106 itself.
Yeah, weird thing.
106's second main anomalous property is its ability to pass through solid matter, which leaves behind a patch of corrosive mucus. This ability seems to be connected to 106's capability of entering a pocket dimension.
Yeah.
That is, a small alternative dimension created and controlled by 106.
This reminds me a lot of, I don't know which movie it was. There was a movie about a witch in the forest, and the witch, like, I think it was about changelings, perhaps? And she took, like, children into the forest and dragged them into this hellish world underneath the forest through a cave below roots of an old tree, I think, if I remember correctly. And this reminds me of that idea a lot. I like that. Like, it carries this hell dimension with it. It's a very good idea.
This pocket dimension seems to be comprised mostly of halls and rooms, and serves as a hunting ground for 106. 106 can enter this pocket dimension by traveling into any surface, and can return from the dimension from any surface connected to the entry point, such as entering a wall and coming out the ceiling, or entering an interior wall and coming out the exterior. 106 combines these abilities to hunt prey, generally humans from 10 to 25 years old, and incapacitates them with a touch. Usually, it will damage major organs, muscle groups, tendons, or bones, leaving the individual injured, but alive.
Yeah.
It will then pull the person into the pocket dimension, where it will likely continue to toy with it.
How do you not know that?
As you can imagine, containment of 106 is a little tricky.
Wait a moment, how do you know what it does in the pocket dimension? How? I need that information.
As it can corrode anything it touches and walk through walls. It has been found that for some reason it has an aversion to lead, leading to the use of lead-lined steel in its containment unit. This containment unit is then surrounded by 40 layers of more lead-lined steel, each spaced apart from one another, and the entire thing is suspended off the ground. The secondary containment area consists of 16 spherical cells filled with different liquids, and a randomized assembly of surfaces and supports.
So the way I get this, like after all I've heard now, is that it, like the entrance to the pocket dimension is always the same. So there is one entrance, and that is what moves through solid matter and can expand and contract again. Is it contract? Whatever. So it can like expand and shrink again and move around, and like that's how it does it. Like it's not a dimensional portal between two spaces. It's a dimensional portal in one space, and it like goes around. I wonder how it came to be. Might have been that there was an accident and they ripped a hole into the dimension where this like went through now.
It seems that 106 becomes confused when faced with complex and/or random assemblies of structures.
Yeah, because it doesn't know where to go.
Additionally, the secondary containment area is fitted with light systems capable of automatically flooding the area in extremely bright light, which 106 also has an aversion to. Although these measures don't completely contain 106, they have worked to cut down on the overall number of containment breaches.
Yeah.
The entire containment area is under constant 24-hour human surveillance, and any corrosion effect seen within 200 meters of 106's containment cell is cause for alarm.
Yeah.
106 does tend to break containment fairly often, however, occasionally lying in feigned dormancy for months at a time to lull staff into assumed security.
That's so cool.
After breaching containment, 106 will cause large amounts of corrosive damage to Foundation property and abduct as many people as possible back to its pocket dimension.
I really like that in the way that habituation is very, very easily exploited, I guess. Like it's a very human thing to, like, habituation is basically you get used to stuff. And if you get used to stuff, like it is something that is deeper, like lower in cognitive hierarchy, meaning that you don't think about it anymore. Like you use your like conscious thinking, so to speak, to deal with problems that are apparent and that are important and that are weird or novel and that you have to deal with, and that's what you think about. So if there's something that's like staying the same all the time, you start to forget about it. And it's natural, even if it's a killer thing. Like you will down the line start to forget. It's basically the same as with security or safety. I mean safety. With safety measures. Like if you work, let's say you are working on a construction site, you have to wear a helmet, and you go there and all your colleagues and they're there for 50 years and they never wear helmets anymore because they're like, I know nothing has ever happened to me. You know, with habituation, you think something becomes less dangerous, like because it's like going down in your cognitive hierarchy, so to speak. Like that's why you don't feel anything dangerous anymore. And so I really like that this is used here. It's very, very like it's one of the things where you would say, no, you're so stupid. Of course it will break out and it's just playing possum here, of course. But the clue is that yes. But that's what it wants. Like it uses that, and it's realistic. So even if you now think, yeah, why are the SCP personal people so stupid? They're not. Basic psychology. Perhaps this old man had a major in psychology.
Upon a breach, Foundation staff will repair the containment area as quickly as possible, and then bring in a human in the 10 to 25 age bracket, typically a D class. Once ready, staff will injure the subject, usually by cutting the Achilles tendon or breaking the thigh bone, causing them to become immobilized. They will be placed in the containment cell, and their wails and screams will soon bring 106 back.
Yeah, that's
If this
so
does not
effed up.
occur, more trauma might need to be inflicted on the subject, or multiple subjects might be brought in. Physical damage seems to have no effect on 106, of course, so containment is so far the Foundation's only solution.
Yeah.
That's SCP-106 as presented in the main document, but
Yeah.
its popularity has caused a number of tales to pop up related to it. The most popular of these is titled The Young Man, and offers a potential origin to 106.
I will not look at this because we will watch the animation in a moment. So I will try to skip through the World War I stuff here. Looks like World War I stuff. Here, perhaps?
No paperwork could ever be found about the man.
Okay. This is still World War. Oh yeah, I see the resemblance as well. That's cool. So I really like this. So well, we will dive into it in a moment.
Part of the appeal of the SCP universe is the inherent mystery of the anomalies. Some may appreciate a backstory. Even within this backstory, though, there are still some questions to be had, as it doesn't completely answer what happened to Corporal Lawrence.
Okay, so we've got Corporal Lawrence, but I just want to want to know.
Comes from the tale until death.
Okay. So just to make sure again, I did not watch this because I'm going to watch an animation of this, so we will discuss it down the line. But so he's got an explanation called Until Death. Let's see.
I won't go into as much detail about this one, and really this tale is only effective if you're already familiar with SCP-3001, Red Reality.
Nope, I'm not. Let's
The tale
just
focuses on an older female researcher working late at night, alone in a Foundation facility.
Okay.
She hears a noise in the corner of the room and gets up to inspect it, when suddenly the lights go out, leaving her in darkness. She turns on her phone's flashlight and looks back at her desk to find a bloody human kidney resting on her papers.
Why?
The noise she heard becomes thicker somehow, and she sees a black smear across a wall, the paint and plaster corroding away. She walked towards the wall, and a hand shot out and grabbed her arm, the black slime melting through her lab coat.
Okay.
SCP-106 emerges from the wall, decrepit and rotten, and begins walking towards her, grinning. Black foulness dripped off of him, and the researcher ran out of the lab towards the night guard.
Okay.
As she met up with him, 106 came into sight, still following her. The guard fired 3 shots at 106,
I like that
causing
picture.
it to stop and fall to the ground, sinking through the floor. It's revealed that this is the first ever sighting of 106, and they have no idea what they've just witnessed.
Okay.
106 appeared through the ceiling above the guard, dripping acid on his face, and proceeded to messily kill the man.
That might make for a brilliant short movie or short video. I would love to see that.
The researcher had twisted her ankle and slowly limped away into the guard station. As she entered, however, she fell into the melting floor, her skin burning away due to the black ooze. She fully descended into the blackness, and she stopped feeling any pain. She was in a room she didn't recognize, and saw a dilapidated hallway in front of her, realizing that she was in some sort of alternate dimension.
Yeah.
Optimistic that she could find a way out, she limped around, eventually opening a door and walking into her old apartment.
Ooh, that's weird.
Since this building had apparently been torn down 20 years ago, she was quite confused. Everything seemed to be in place as it was, but when she went to open a closet, a pile of dismembered corpses fell out on top of her.
Of course they did.
After flailing and gagging, she got out of the mess and recognized one of the faces as the night guard.
Oh god.
106 emerged from the back of the closet, and she began running again, now realizing that this was some sort of twisted version of the facility she worked in.
Yeah.
She made her way back to the guard room where she had first entered this dimension, hoping that there was a similar way out.
Clever thinking,
as
clever
106 continued to chase her. Just barely, she makes it into the guard room and sinks through the same floor, re-emerging in the real facility.
Okay. That's nice of it to... Oh, perhaps because it was left behind? So are there rules in this dimension as well? Like, is the dimension solid or can it reality warp it? Like, that, it would make sense if it was solid.
She hits the alarm button, but 106 is stopped right behind her. She realizes that this entity has taken the night guard's throat and put it into its own throat,
Yeah.
causing a growling sound.
Yeah, I also thought perhaps it's collecting, like, material that for itself because it's corroding away. Perhaps it's just hunting people to make itself, like, stay alive or whatever you call it. So that would not fit with it hunting for fun. So it's one of the two. I would like this. It wants to survive a bit less, I think. Even I like a trigger-happy A-bag that's running around killing people in a gruesome way as a horror character more. But like I like sympathetic villains, and of course that's still not a sympathetic villain, but at least I know why it's doing it, and that like that makes the mystery disappear. Like it's like something happened, it aged, and it wants to stay alive, and that's why it does everything. That would be a bit too lame for me. So I don't like that. But perhaps this is just mocking. Perhaps it's having fun.
The growling sound builds in intensity, becoming a word. Red. This is followed by two more words, which are both Anna.
Red Anna. Okay, hello, Red Anna.
Realization slammed into her, and 106 took 2 steps towards her, holding up its hand where the ring had been. She was frozen, unable to move or think, and 106 finally reached out to touch her cheek.
Okay, why?
The flesh began dripping from her face, and 106 leaned in to kiss her, melting and fusing her face to his.
Why?
She screamed, but it was useless as her tongue had also melted, and her throat was filled with molten muscle.
Oh.
The two sunk through the floor together, locked in a final embrace.
What does that mean? I have no idea, but
This tale is both a...
That was horrifying. I loved it. That's so cool. But that was random, but that's the shit I'm here for. Let's go.
Backstory to SCP-106, as well as an epilogue to SCP-3001, showing that Robert Scranton did manage to make it out of the Red Reality, but no longer as a human.
The Red Reality? Interesting, weird thing.
If I can speak personally, although I acknowledge the creativeness of the tale, I don't particularly care for it as an ending to Scranton's story. There are plenty that disagree with me, of course, and it's a popular alternative backstory for 106.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like it either, like the ending. I don't like the ending. I like the story of the researcher, but the ending makes it too, oh yeah, this fits into the story, and it's not about the people anymore. I feel that or perhaps it's even more about the people, but I don't know them. Perhaps if I knew 3001, I would think differently. I don't know that one. Should I react to that? Tell me? I don't know. But it's weird. Like, this is like, okay, it's her dead husband apparently or whatever, and he's now kissing her to death. Great stuff. That's it takes away, it makes the monster human again. Yes, that's it. I think that's it. I finally put my finger on it. That's it. It makes the thing again a human, just a human that was, okay, now he's a corrosive man. I don't care. I don't care anymore because it's not this weird thing that tries to imitate humans. Like, that's what it sounded in the first place. Weird thing that imitates humans in a way. And perhaps it learned about humans from interacting with them when it was still a black puddle. And whatever. I don't know, but it's hard to put into words.
Whatever you care to think of 106's origins, the Old Man is certainly one of the more horrific entities on the SCP Wiki, at least as far as body horror is concerned.
Why? No. That's not body horror. Like, Ghoulman Ding Dong Shitface was a lot more body horror, I feel. Like, he's like, okay, he's a corpse. He's a walking corpse. Why is that body horror? Don't get it.
It's not everyone's favorite, and of course shows some of the signs of an early SCP. But we can all agree we'd rather not meet him in a dark alley.
I wouldn't like to meet him in a corridor. Okay, that was it. That was their take on this old man thing. And now we will watch... Oh, like the video? 1 moment, okay. Now we will watch... So you like this video because I like theirs. I don't know. So we will now go to The Young Man, which is the other origin story. And it is by SCP Animated Tales from the Foundation. And we're going to look at it and have some fun with it. And let's see the other possible origin story. And it's about a soldier, and I already like this picture of the other Russian soldiers. I think it's a known picture. I think it's a Russian soldier. Perhaps it's an American, but the smiling, sad soldier. That fits, so perhaps that was the inspiration? I don't know, but let's just find out, and let's see what this is. So let's react to The Young Man.
Like Corporal Lawrence. That's not to say that nobody tried or that he was somehow unfriendly. Merely that he was one of those few that seemed to be wired differently. However, in the trenches of World War I, normalcy was at best a relative term. Lawrence fought, listened to orders, and didn't disrupt the other soldiers, and that was all that was required. So what if the people felt increasingly uncomfortable around him, in a place where the baseline of concern was the flesh rotting off your bones while you were still alive? A little personality conflict ranked several levels below a paper cut.
Okay.
Lawrence, for his part, dealt with it as he always had, that is to say, remained totally unaware of the avoidance, the same way a man blind from birth cannot mourn the memory of color. Corporal Lawrence couldn't bemoan a lack of company.
Oh,
He was
very cool.
quiet, as he had nobody to talk to, and still, as he had nothing to do for long stretches of time. The enemy trench, less than a mile away, had gone
I love the writing already. Great writer.
silent for several days. This amplified the unease that seemed to radiate off of Lawrence like heat waves. The worst part was that there was no distinct reason to dislike the corporal. He was a plain man, average height, average build, bland of voice and action.
Interesting.
Nobody could recall him raising his voice in joy or anger. He did have the occasional odd mannerisms, however.
What were they?
He tended to stare a beat or two longer than was acceptable at people. He rarely slept as well, and bunkmates said he would mumble in his sleep almost constantly.
I love that. That's so cool. This is very well done.
The content of those nocturnal ramblings, when they could be understood, were often odd and potentially
I
unsettling.
love it.
One private moved to another barracks when he heard the name of his daughter pass Corporal Lawrence's lips, followed by a bubbling, muffled giggle.
What the fuck? Oh, that's so
It
good.
was strongly theorized that he was sent over the trench by his commanders more out of a desire to have him away than for his minimal combat skill. He and 14 of his fellows were sent across the nightmarishly scarred waste of the no man's land between the trenches to scope out the enemy trench and secure it if possible.
Oh, yes.
Many seemed to hope that Lawrence would have the opportunity to prove his devotion to his country by making the ultimate sacrifice for it.
What dicks? I love the setup. I already love it. Oh, this is so weird. Like, it's Uncanny Valley. It's very well done, Uncanny Valley. Like the mumbling in the sleep and the weird staring for a bit too long, as if it doesn't know human conventions completely yet. It's so weird. Or whatever I don't know what happens. You know, I don't know if it's an it. But that's so cool. I love the setup.
It was while he was gone that someone started asking questions. Nobody remembered him ever talking of home. No sweet-smelling letters came, no soggy, dirt-streaked letters left. Questions started to float among even the higher levels of the command.
Okay.
Nobody was able to actually find his station orders. He'd come in with a squad of reinforcements transferred from France.
Oh, that's
but there
so
was
cool.
no paperwork. The rest of the reinforcement squad had never seen the man before he'd been lumped in with them the night before the trip, along with the snips and scraps of other squads decimated by the Germans.
I love it. That's so
Whispers
cool.
filtered among the grunts of the corporal being a curse. Nearly every man who'd shared a bunkhouse with him had gotten trench foot, and the rooms he haunted always seemed to smell more musty and sickly sweet, even for the trench. The men sent over the no man's land with Corporal Lawrence heard and cared for none of this. Just another man among many, all with death certificates awaiting a stamp that could fall at any moment.
It's so cool. Oh wow, this is brilliant.
They moved fast and low, from crater to crater, slipping over slick mud and barbed wire, the only thing that seemed to grow in that blasted waste. Charging the last spur and into the trench, they were greeted not with the harsh bark of German orders and rifles, but a dense, close silence. Preparing for ambush, the men started to filter out into the tunnels and halls of the trench. The men, already nervous, were not calmed by their investigation. The trenches stank of mold, sweat, and a thin undercurrent of rotten fruit. A vile, cloying slime seemed to have pooled in every divot and crack, sticky as glue and itchy on the flesh.
Yeah.
Private Dixon found the first body and managed to cry out before vomiting. They knew it had been a man only because nothing else of that size could have been there. It lay on the floor of a barracks. The entire floor.
Great.
The flesh of it had
Great.
been smeared somehow, spread like butter over the rough dirt floor.
That's so
Bones,
cool.
already looking pitted and rotten, stuck out at random angles, like dead trees in a still swamp. The skull rested on one of the highest bunks, facing the doorway.
Hello.
More remains were found, each seemingly more unsettling and strange than the last. Unfathomable horrors were discovered one after the next, sending men retching and running from the trench.
Yeah.
Corporal Lawrence was the first to find the hole. It was small, no more than 4 feet across. It seemed to be the accidental uncovering of a natural chamber, the empty blackness of it defying investigation.
I love it, though I really hope he doesn't go in and then turns into it. I hope he already is. Because otherwise the setup with the him no one knowing where he came from and stuff would, like, okay, that's nice, but then I would have felt cheated about that. You know what I mean? So let's hope it's not that.
Private Dixon, recovered and blessedly numb from his previous ordeals, saw the corporal prod the edge with his boot, then crouch to peer in, then suddenly slide in head first before the private could so much as utter a shout of question. When questioned later, he could provide little illumination as to what happened over the 2 minutes Corporal Lawrence spent in the hole. He could see nothing. The light of a torch seemingly gobbled up a few feet into that dense blackness.
Oh,
There were
God.
sounds, the rustle of movement over loose stone or rubble, an odd liquid shifting, a dry rustle that made him think of insect husks. As he shouted for aid, there was a sudden upwelling of a repulsive stench, and his fellow soldiers found him retching helplessly beside the hole when they came around the turn.
Yeah.
It was as they rushed to Private Dixon's aid that the hand emerged from the hole. They stopped and raised rifles as one body, roaring for the owner of that pale, trembling hand to identify himself. As they watched, another hand joined the first, followed by the pale, shivering head of Corporal Lawrence. He was streaked and smeared with a tarry black ooze.
Okay. So yes. I like it. I like it, though. Yeah, whatever. We'll talk about it later. I really like it, though.
Coughing
Yeah.
gloomily as he hauled his body up beside that of the gasping private. As they moved to help the man, the corporal vomited up a heavy stream of the same repulsive slime that coated his body in smears and globs. They were hesitant to touch him, finally doing so after the seemingly endless river of grime stopped pouring from him. He was insensible, eyes rolling and wide, body as limp as a boned fish. The men fled the trench with all the speed they could muster. Half dragging the corporal, they ran with no thought of
they
cover
saved
or
him.
death, only
Wow.
escape. They crossed in record time.
I love that they saved him, though. Like, saved him. Like, he's now the ding dong, but like that he's like, because that's what soldiers probably would have done. They would have saved their comrade, even though he was weird and stuff. But the camaraderie in the military, especially in those times, I guess. What do I know? Perhaps I'm wrong. I don't know, but I always heard of it as they were very, very. They really valued camaraderie, and that's what they probably would have done. I guess. Like, I don't know, but like, it feels right that they did this. It's so cool.
falling into their home trench, gasping and shivering. One man, known to have bludgeoned a German to death with a brick, curled on the floor in a sobbing heap. The commanders moved quickly,
Why?
isolating the men and trying to calm the most lucid for a report.
Why is he so disturbed by a oozing man crawling out of a hole when he is smashed some to pieces and before that already found the destroyed remains? But it's okay, he can bath, bath all you want, mate. And shiver.
What spilled out would have been immediately dismissed as lies and hallucination were it not for the earnest, pleading stares of those reporting. Command calmed them with explanations of battle fatigue and strange gas weapon tests, and shared silent, focused stares as the cowed men were ushered out. Corporal Lawrence had little to report. Of his time in the hole, he could or would say little. He stated that he had slipped and fallen into what may have been some long-blocked underground pool or perhaps a buried latrine. Of the sounds and smells reported by the private, he had nothing to say.
Okay, I hope he will mention the weird corridors.
Only that he had struggled a short time, then managed to get back out just as the men arrived. Truly, he seemed none the worse for wear. In fact, he seemed in better spirits than many had remembered ever seeing him, favoring the commanders with a wide, giddy smile as he was dismissed with a warning not to discuss the events.
Wait, I'm sorry that I paused. I just have to think about something. Okay.
Not one man from that trench survived the Great War, although few died in battle. A wave of sickness took the trench a few days after Private Dixon's death. It seemed to eat the flesh like acid, men waking to find previously healthy flesh eaten down to the bone, oozing and blackened. Corporal Lawrence was remanded to a French mental ward, transferred after several complaints from the hospital proper where he was first sent. It seemed his behavior hinted at a growing mental imbalance. The corporal would rant quietly to the other patients, whispers about endless halls, pursuits in the dark, flesh laid out like pages of a book.
Okay.
It was dismissed as war fatigue.
Okay, there they are. Okay, good. The corridors are there.
He vanished several times from the ward, only to appear several hours later as if nothing had happened.
I love it. Yeah, that's cool.
He would begin to sing "My Bonnie Lies Over the Sea" in an endless monotone until the doctors left exasperated.
Why, though?
A stale, musty foulness seemed to sit in the air wherever he stayed, and incidents of infection and the strange consuming sickness that had beset his home trench seemed to follow him like a cloud. Numerous attempts were made to transfer the man, only to be met with bureaucratic confusion.
Okay.
No records were found of the man, no entry papers, commendations, or incidents, not even a birth certificate.
And that's where it doesn't make sense anymore. That's so sad. It's almost a perfect horror story. Like, I would give it 8 or 9 of 10, this one. Very well done. I love it. Though, yeah, this makes it not be a 10.
Through it all, he sat for hours on end, cross-legged on his bed, occasionally humming tunelessly or rambling off the names of his wardmates between short, bubbling giggles. Corporal Lawrence and 18 men vanished one November night between a 5-minute nurse rotation at 3 in the morning. The room reeked of rust, oil, mold, and sweet rot.
Yeah.
Thick black swaths of crumbling ooze coated the beds and several of the walls, wide patches of it smearing and eating into the floor. Of the men, there was no sign at first. As they searched, one nurse shifted a bed aside only to shriek and nearly trip across one of the sunken, reeking depressions on the floor.
What?
In a tight, perfect spiral were what appeared to be hundreds of teeth resting.
Why? 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 Why?
Neatly on the floor. After counting, they accounted for the total of all the teeth of every living soul in that ward, but one. The corporal was never found, nor were the men. The incident was swallowed by the constant barrage of horrors from the front and forgotten with ease. Still they came.
Forgotten with ease? How can you forget this with ease?
Stories of strange deaths, of disappearing men, found days later alive but broken and twisted beyond comprehension. Stories of a strange, dark figure stalking the bomb-riddled towns of Europe.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If there had been 2 things differently, this would have been an absolute 10 of 10 horror story. Though, first thing, the spiral. Why again with the ritual shit? Like sometimes rituals fit, but it's the same as with the human. I had the impression that it was like, okay, let's put another cliche down that's horrifying in the end. Like, why not have her discover the room and just find the black shapes of men or something there, which would fit more to the story, like this collecting of teeth. Why put in a random ritual in the end? That gave it a damper, so I take 1 point off for that because I've got to stick up my butt. You know me. And I'm critical of horror. You know me, so I give this like 1 point deduction for that, and 1 point deduction for not linking him being weird as fuck in the beginning and no one knowing where he comes from. Not hint at that he just wanted to go back to that hole, or that his son is like it was set up like this. He's a weird thing. Like he's this weird uncanny valley asshole, and he's in the trenches and no one knows where he's from, and he's with them, but he's normal and he follows orders and it's all right and it's all fine until the moment they go there and see all of this weird destruction, like all the ripped apart soldiers, which is in line with the SCP as far as I can understand. Like it would make sense because and I was told that it likes torturing, hunting, and stuff like that. And I get that. So them finding that was all right. But then when he saw the hole, he should have started to smile already. Like when he started to see the hole, he should have started smiling before going in, not afterwards. Because now it's like, I don't know what the story wants me to think. Does it want me to think that it was just a weirdo and he fell into a hole and then he got turned into SCP-106? Or does it want me to feel like he was always this 106 just looking for the pond to perhaps like it's perhaps like a let's take an animal metaphor, which I would have liked more. Like I would have liked him to smile before going into the hole and voluntarily going into the hole. And it's like frogs. I think they're born in a pond and then they go out into the world and then they return to the pond one day, like some years later. This might have been the same. And if that was implied, that would have been even scarier because then it would have been a true weird shit face. And now it was just a weird ding-dong shit face that no one knew where he was from, but it didn't really matter. Like, why would that have mattered? Like, it was just to get me into a mood that misdirected me. And it's hard to explain, but I hope you understand where I'm coming from. Other than that, this was brilliant. Like, whoever wrote this, thank you so much for writing this. Thank you so much. So it was written by, can I find it? I want to shout the author. Let me see. The Young Man was written by Dr. Gears. Oh, it is by Dr. Gears. Okay, I don't know who that is. So whoever wrote this, if you ever see this reaction, thank you so much. It was a great story, a great little story. And you now see how pedantic I can be about this. Like with horror, I'm very critical, but so let's get to the article. Let's just look at it. I don't know how much we can still. So there it is. So we've got this mid-emergence picture. We know this. Yeah, these are just the things we already know. I'm just gonna see if there's something. Yeah, okay, and he took the pictures as well. Yeah, not much there, not much additional stuff. So I think I've read everything. Let's look at some comments. Perhaps the author's there. Yeah, okay, so people are scared by this. That's quite cool. Like, it's a very good idea. Yeah, and the ceiling hanging is great as well. I like that. I like that it's like dominant and it gets you. I agree. That's cool. Cool concept. Yeah, this is well, like I think he's right. So he's basically saying in this comment, yeah, so it's basically like, yeah, like put it into a very complex cell and hope it just doesn't get out, which is the case. Like that's how it is. Yeah, that's like, but I like it. I really like it. Yeah, so let's actually sum it up a bit and get to the end of this one. Cool idea. I liked it a lot more than Yule Man. Like if the young man was 8 of 10 horror story. Very well done. Only some little irks I had with it. And the corrosive man himself, like the SCP article, was cool. Like it was also like it was a 6 of 10. Like it was creative. It was a corrosive man. At some points I would have to deduct just for how do they know about these dimensions? Like how apparently nothing gets out. How do they know? How do they know? Like that's what I loved about the young man as well, that story, where he whispered about the corridors, and that's how they thought, okay, that's probably where he goes, but why would you know that it's a dimensional thing? There was no report there. Like, so we just have to assume that there was someone who found that out, reported that, survived somehow, and that might be fun to read about. I don't know. Yeah. Perhaps I will write a little snippet about that and put it in the end of this video, and you can listen to my version of how they found out that there were weird dimension corridor things. Though I still liked the one story of the doctor. Like, though, how did she get out? Why was it at the same place? I think there's some other idea about this man thing would be cooler, so I might try out writing something. If I don't think of something, the video will end in a moment, and you will see I was not good enough to get it done. But yeah, I also like the visual design. I really like the eyes that stalk you, the grin that you see, because it's like you just detect eyes and teeth. You detect hunting a hunter, animal that hunts you, that preys on you. Very cool stuff. Very cool. And less is more. It just had the mechanic of turning into ooze, and the ooze being a dimension for whatever reason. It's not that important, but it's a black ooze goo corrosive substance that can like probably shrink and expand, and that's how it travels through solid matter. Does it travel through gas? I don't know. And it's like dormant, waiting for people. You could do a lot of cool short movies with that as well. Like, that would be so cool. Anyway, thank you for watching this. And if you're still here, I love this one. Please let me know what you want for the next SCPs. And as I said, like this the young man, something like that. If there are things about the SCP that are additional there, I will put them in the video because I want to cover it all. And I hope I did cover this in its full glory. And I really enjoyed it. So again, if you like this, consider liking, subscribing. I will do these like once or twice a month. So I might do one at the end of the month. Perhaps the field trip or the sloth thing. And we will see what we find. And yeah, if I manage to write a little snippet about how they know about the corridor thing, I will put it in the end here. And you can listen to that if you like that. But anyway, have a great day. And as always, take care of yourself and see you soon. Bye. SCP-74135. SCP-74135 is an ebook reader that can be asked to display events that have happened as stories from chosen perspectives. It is used to further research into the most dangerous or puzzling SCPs. This is one of the stories it displayed. Perspective of SCP-106 Lore number 45. Extracted with SCP-74135 after Containment Breach Event 106/05. When I died, I finally realized what it meant to be obliterated by another living being. How it felt when it wasn't a whim of nature but cold calculations and a terrible will that ended a life. I had murdered many people, many young men and women. I had drugged them, stabbed them slowly, savoring the act. I had removed their kidneys, watched them suffer. I always found suffering interesting. I had enjoyed it, laughed when they begged and pleaded, their bodies numbed and helpless against everything I did to them. It had only been a game, but now I was the one that was toyed with. After I was caught because of my stupidity and ignorance, they didn't take me to a state prison. They didn't bring me before a court, didn't give me a lawyer. They probably thought someone like me didn't deserve that. I agree with them. I'm a sick person. Can't help it. I have macabre preferences. So they locked me up here in this peculiar complex with many doors, frequent sirens and screams. They ignored me for a long time, just left me here like a forgotten piece of mud. Like the forgotten piece of mud that I was. I have never been able to show empathy, to comprehend my actions, couldn't comprehend what it meant to be murdered, eviscerated. Until now. They took me out of my cell half an hour ago, shortly after another alarm had blared through the barren, dreary, sterile corridors. I was drugged so I could resist, brought into that little room that could apparently be sealed with the various constructions and walls. Were they going to bury me alive? Seal me alive? Oh, I wish they would. They placed me on a chair in the middle of the room. They dressed me in a suit with wires connected to the wall. I didn't know what this suit was for. I could faintly see countless small cameras everywhere, but I was too dazed to make out more. I sat there, babbling, as one of the men came and drove a knife into my heel. I felt the pain. It ran through my leg, through my limbs, through my body, and stabbed into my brain, making me cry a ravenous scream. I didn't just inject you with a sedative. You are also much more sensitive to pain now. You shall feel everything that is to come 1,000-fold for what you have done, one of the men explained. His voice sounded rather neutral, but I believed I could discern profound contempt between the words. I couldn't blame him. A part of me even hoped that the man enjoyed my pain, reminding me of how good it felt to be responsible for the suffering of others. When I was left alone, when I screamed and whimpered, soiled myself and began convulsing, when I fell off the chair and hit the floor hard, I heard a hissing sound. Something nearby. I was glad for the noise because it was something that I could focus on to forget the pain, or at least try to forget. The hissing came from the floor in front of my feet. At first I thought I was hallucinating from the pain, that my senses were playing distorted fantasies to keep my broken mind sane. But it was real. The floor turned black, began to babble. An oily darkness spread over the large tiles, causing the ground to distort. An uneasy feeling gnawed at my thoughts. Eventually, a dark puddle had formed in front of me, boiling and hissing, emitting a terrible stench of decay. I just lay there. My foot was burning, and even if I could have moved, I wouldn't have gotten far. Was this why? Why they had cut my heel? So I couldn't escape for sure? My leg was already numb, but my head still felt as if it were being stabbed by thousands of knives. Then he emerged from the puddle. Was it a man? Was it a decaying corpse? The wide eyes stared at me, the bright teeth in his smiling grimace appeared animalistic yet calculated and clean. His entire body was old and rotting, emitting a putrid stench, but he seemed unconcerned. He approached, reaching out his hand. And there, In his gaze, I saw it. The pure desire to kill. The craving for my pain. The will to torture and play with me. He would kill me. When his skin touched mine, my head threatened to explode. I melted. My skin, my flesh, my bones, everything burned. I felt him pulling at my crippled foot, felt his claw-like hand and his fingers burrowing into my ankles, felt myself being dragged away into the ground, into an infinite depth. Then, a bright light, brighter than the sun, brighter than anything I had ever seen. As the light engulfed me, I understood what it meant to be murdered, what I had done to the others. While I died in those minutes, I perished there. All I could do was look down at where my legs had once been. The thing was gone, back into the ground, but whatever they had done with the light, the dark surface had become solid again, solidifying everything that had been inside it, including my lower half. In my final moments, I heard distant screams, new alarms. They returned to my room, but no longer paid any attention to me as I perished. As my senses faded, I only heard a dwindling voice. Yes, recordings confirm corridors, pocket dimension, just like the other trial.